Well, as tensions escalate due to conflicts in the Ukraine and the Middle East, European nations are ramping up defense spending, of course, in response to these crises. And traders are turning to defense stocks, which were long seen as too controversial for ESG investors, environmental, social, and governance concerned investors. This is according to analysts at Citi Research. For more, let's bring in Sam Burgess. He's Vice President of European Aerospace and Defense at Citi Research. Sam, thanks a lot for joining us. Is it correct that ESG investors, given the realities on the ground in Ukraine and perhaps the Middle East as well, are willing to include these stocks in their portfolios more so than in the past?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me. Great to join you. I think what we are hearing from investors really is a more nuanced appraisal of security. I mean, clearly we're in an environment, particularly in Europe, where the threat to liberal democracies is heightened, and European governments are increasingly concerned that the inability of many ESG-linked funds to invest in the sector is harming Europe's defense industrial base. So that's the kind of context for people thinking about it in a slightly more nuanced manner now.
How influential have comments from Vladimir Putin been? There's an increasing sense of nervousness about what his ambitions in Europe really are.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We first started writing on this shortly before the conflict in Ukraine, but actually a number of European governments have been quite focused on this issue before then. And I think the key point here is that if we want to preserve a resilient, rules-based international order, then liberal democracies need to invest in effective deterrence and the means to preserve our values. And I think that's something that's really been driven home in Europe over the last couple of years.
Sam, let me ask you a question. Are the European defense companies themselves banding together from an ESG perspective and trying to make their case with the indices like BlackRock, et cetera, and the regulators who look at these kinds of things?
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing that, and we're seeing that they're very engaged with the European Commission, but also, with ratings agencies to really point out the value that they bring across a number of metrics. Their kind of unique contribution, I guess, would be around security and resilience, but also they tend to provide a lot of jobs in more deprived areas. So it's not just about their security contribution, but they're very engaged on that topic.
And do you have any sense on how quickly this might be, pushed through from an ESG perspective?
Well, I think, one of the interesting things that we've looked at is there is, when you look at broader public perceptions of the defense sector, it actually attracts very little negative sentiment compared to even media, banking, but actually much less negative sentiment than some of the other stereotypically ESG negative sectors like tobacco or gambling. So we think that this disparity between some of the ESG perceptions among ratings agencies, for example, and broader public perceptions and many government perceptions will have to close at some point. It's hard to put an exact timing on that, but we do wonder whether there could be regulatory change. The UK is working on sustainability regulation at the moment, and the European Union has ongoing changes to its sustainability taxonomy. So we just wonder whether that's an area that we might see some movement.
Let's talk about a couple of stocks that you like in the European defense sector. One of them is a company called Kinetic Group. It was actually formed from the British government's own defense research and development organization.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kinetic is what we'd call in the defense services space, and it kind of got spun out of what used to be the UK Defence Research Agency, and they work closely with the government as a trusted partner to do test and evaluation and some of the kind of high-end R&D for the UK government, but they're also expanding their US business, where they've got quite an interesting cyber business over in the US. So they're a company that we are very interested in and bullish on, and we see about 30% upside there.
And we'll finish with a company called THALES, I may not be pronouncing it correctly, trades in Paris and is a defense aerospace specialist.
Yeah, THALES. And they are a very kind of prominent defense electronics company in Europe. They're kind of big French defense OEM. We're neutral rated on them at the moment, but they're going to see really good growth, I think, through the decade. But for us, we feel that is currently reflected in the share price.